Coach, starting the third quarter there, it's really competitive, and Missouri's right in it on Saturday. What clicked for you guys in that last 20 minutes or so to kind of flip the game on defense?
Just getting back to who we were, we made some what we felt were uncharacteristic mistakes. Putting our eyes in the wrong place, and they started really running the quarterback and some design quarterback runs that we didn't feel like we handled very well. We made some of the adjustments at halftime, but really it wasn't anything that we did miraculously. Guys just got back to playing with fundamentals and putting their eyes in the right spot, and we were able to get off the field on third down.
Frank in the back.
Coach, what do you think is the most important aspect of getting stops on third and fourth down?
I think the number one, obviously without going into detail of what the offense that you're going against is knowing the down and distance. I think you have to know if it's third and short, what type of plays, you're going to get, third and medium, third and long. If you have an idea of that, and then obviously through film study and game plan, going to execute the defense. But I think that's the biggest part of it. Nobody wants to be in third and short all game. Obviously the goal is to get in the third and long, and then obviously knowing where the sticks are and what type of routes you're going to get. I think that makes a big difference.
Go to Brent.
Coach, I think Juwan Mitchell's had like 22 tackles or something in the last 3 games. What is happening for him? What's helped him to get settled in, the kind of where his role is and the production he's giving you guys right now?
I think it's just comfort level. I think he's, finally, like I said earlier, he's finally healthy, and this is probably the most consistent that he's been as far as playing and being on the field and practicing every day, and in the film room, like I said, understanding game plan, all the things that come with being healthy and being able to be available every week. So I think he's probably as comfortable as he's been in a couple years from here and the previous place that he was at, and he's starting to show in his play because he's got some consistency in his day-to-day habits.
Jimmy and then Vince.
Coach, what impresses you and concerns you about South Carolina's quarterback, Spencer Rattler?
Spencer's a super talented, young man. Obviously, one of the top quarterbacks in the country coming out of high school. Really, really talented arm. You see the mobility that you see with a lot of high-end quarterbacks. Maybe doesn't run it as much in design quarterback runs, but has the ability to extend plays. So, he's one of our top priorities that we have to do a great job in trying to contain. But we think he's a very talented young man.
How have you guys as a defense handled crowd noise? Because on defense, you guys are having to handle it at home as well, and they're trying to impact opposing offenses. How's the communication been with crowd noise for you guys?
I think we've done a really good job. Obviously, that comes with hand signals, because when we're on defense, I think that's when our crowd, which we really do appreciate, gets the loudest. So we've done a good job. I think we've handled it well as far as communication, whether that's walking up and getting in close quarters with guys or just with hand signals. I think I should say that's one of the better things that we've done so far this year, especially at home.
Patrick and then Ben.
Coach, what kind of season do you think Jeremy Banks has had? What has he done that's been better than you guys expected, and maybe where are some areas where he's not been as good as you guys hope?
I would always talk about the positive. I'm gonna knock on wood and say, he's played more under control. That was one thing that we worked out playing. We talked about and we worked on, starting with last spring, is being under control and playing a little bit more within himself. I think he's gotten much better at understanding his fits in the defense. He's, like I said, super athletic, always can run and go find the football, but I think he's fit up, different runs on understanding leverage and understanding where his help is coming from. I think he's done, a tremendous job there. And I think, for what we've asked him to do, Jeremy's had a really good season. I know no one's perfect, but I think he's really, evolved and still growing as a linebacker.
Jaheim Bell, what challenges does he present, and what will you all as linebackers need to do well on Saturday to help contain him?
Jaheim, super talented. He's like their Swiss Army knife. Line him up all over the field. I know he's got close to 50 carries, as a running back, and runs jet sweeps. He's the do-it-all guy for him. So he's a guy we have to pay attention to because they'll line him up, you know, at wide out, they'll line up at tight end, they'll line up at, you know, tailback. He's a guy that they try to feature in the offense and get touches, you know, for. Obviously, his size presents, you know, some challenges for us as an entire defense, but, you know, super talented. You know, like I said, a guy we have to pay, you know, extra attention to just because they can put him anywhere, you know, on the field. So we have to make sure we do a good job of finding him.
Anything else? Jimmy?
Coach, back to Jeremy Banks, some players play better when they play with a lot of emotion. Where's the balance in trying to not be too emotional and get penalties versus being emotional enough to play well?
I think that's a question that's answered, you know, in the inner soul. You have to be able to figure that out on your own. Obviously, football is a very, very emotional game, and, you know, a lot of guys can get really worked up, you know, pregame and end up maybe overdoing it, you know, and kind of, you know, flaming out at the end because they get too worked up. And some guys, I don't know, I don't think that ever be the case here because of our crowd and the way we practice and the way we prepare. I don't think there's anybody on the team that I would suspect is not ready to go or super charged up before the game. But I think that's an individual, you know, thing. Some guys are always gonna, you know, be high and really revved up before the game. Some guys, you know, are a little quieter and are still ready to go. But, you know, there is a balance there, but I think that's individual. Us as coaches always want to see a guy ready to run through a wall, but, you know, by looking at them in their faces, sometimes, you know, guys are good poker players. You're not going to be able to tell if they're ready to go.
Patrick?
Coach, how are your two freshmen, Elijah and Bailey, coming along? Obviously playing a lot of special teams. How do you think that's helping their development?
I think it's tremendous. You know, through special teams, they're getting anywhere from, you know, 12 to, you know, 20 snaps a game between the 4 core special teams that we're in. And I think we've already noticed a tremendous, you know, arc in, you know, the way that they're playing, you know, so far this year. Obviously with freshmen, there's always going to be mistakes, but, you know, going with, you know, the previous question, you see that they're able to, you know, get themselves ready to play. They understand, you know, schemes a little bit better. They understand how people are going to try to block them or how they need to attack people on certain teams. So you see the growth in them, and I think it's carrying over to watching them practice when they're actually playing linebacker. You see some of the talent that we recruited them for, that we think those guys are going to be really good football players.
Anything else, Coach? All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.